Hi there everyone, I hope you're doing well. I hope you've had fun in pre-releases if you have gone to some. Right now, I want to talk about a new Mega Pokemon coming within the next set. It's gonna be Mega Lopunny. This is an interesting card, and I have to say I like Mega Lopunny both as a card and as a Mega in general. So I'm very eager and excited to build Lopunny decks. Alright, let's look at Mega Lopunny. When this was first revealed, I think players were excited, and then there was like a moment of thinking, maybe this won't be good, and then there was now a moment with like testing and things, being like, okay, maybe this card is pretty nice. I think it's pretty nice, but, you know, there's a lot of ways to go around with this thing. So, Gale Thrust here, doing 60 plus. If it's moved from the bench to the active spot this turn, this attack does 170 more damage. So for 1 energy, colorless energy, you're able to just go ahead and slam for 230 damage, which is a lot. That 230 damage can one-shot some things. It can definitely one-shot some little EX Pokemon and stuff and whatnot. And like I said, that's kind of easy to do if you have something like Jet Energy to bring it up. It definitely surprised some of my opponents too when, you know, it was able to just kind of jet up easily and just do so much damage for the one. For sure, especially if you go first, and then turn 2, you can go ahead and evolve and jet up there and then just slam. So it's something that can come out of nowhere a little bit. But Spike Hopper is doing 160. It isn't affected by any effects on your opponent's active. But yeah, 160 is a bit low, but hopefully you're building around, you know, the Gale Thrust. And 160 is still relevant, and that's for 2 colorless energy. I think I've seen some people compare this card to like an Ursaluna or something as well. Like I said, I think it could be used versatilely. I think it could be an interesting card to test around with, but let's go ahead and look now at some decks because I wanted to kind of try and see if we can build around Lopunny as a deck, and there are some options. Let's go ahead and look at Pokeca book. I will have it linked as well, but this has a lot of cool deck recipes from Japan who have been playing with this card, and there are a number of ways to maybe build around it as a deck, and so that's going to be something to look at here. There are some versatile ways, like I said. I do see a good amount here of like the Dust Noir as well in there. Kind of might be something to be aware of in the meta with Psyduck. It might not be, you know, as viable here right now, but they also have Psyduck. But yeah, the Curse Bomb, I can see its strength, but you do have to be careful not to run into Psyduck and stuff. But even so, you can just kind of hopefully take care of that with a boss or something, or some shenanigans as well, and you can kind of work around. But here we even have some Mega Kangaskhan. There are a lot of the Dust Noir, my goodness. But we have our Jet Energy going on, we have Mist Energy, stuff like that, which is going to be really helpful. Then we see some decks utilizing the idea of like switching with using Pecharunt and stuff to more easily maneuver the Pokemon around. That is an option as well. Having some sort of poison package possibility. This is interesting. Glimora, interesting. We have Sudowoodo, Weavile. I love seeing the little like really niche and odd picks, but it is cool to see. Then there are also the decks that's like similar, it's Grimmsnarl without Grimmsnarl, and Grimmsnarl has turned into the rabbit. We have our Monkey Dory Frostlass package. That is scary, you know? And so, I thought about, you know, trying to make it work. Here is a Lunatone Solrock with the Lopunny and stuff. Just going with that, and we have, you know, a lot of different things, but you can see the main idea here. I want to like build around. Here's one with Iron Valiant. Do you remember Iron Valiant EX? It's been a long time, but that's one Pokemon that also takes advantage of switching around and moving, like pinging damage as things get moved around. But you know, that's a possibility too. It's been a while since we've seen them. They're even using Surfer. I think Surfer is going to allow you to switch your Pokemon. And you know, we also have Kieran in the format. Kieran can also switch your Pokemon. So there are numerous ways for Lopunny to kind of function to be able to hit those numbers as well. Now, again, its attack is capped at 230 or so, but that is still a lot. So that's why I don't think it's going to be like a total relevant deck, I don't think, but I think this is a fun deck. I think this is a deck if you want to make a Mega Lopunny deck. There are options, but I'm not saying it's going to be like a big meta contender, I would say. Here's one with the Pidgeot package. Here's all those. I kind of wanted to just skim through these, and we can look at more specifically another interesting one from a Japanese player who made a connection between Lopunny and Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX, actually. So, do you remember this card? This Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX? This has a similar attack, Gale Thrust, 30 plus. It says if this Pokemon moved from your bench to the active spot this turn, it does 120 more damage. This also has 330 HP, just as Lopunny has. And they both still gave up 3 prize cards. So, the similarity is there. Do you remember this Shady Dealings Drizzile? Now, I want to highlight this guy who says that when you play it from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you may search your deck for a trainer card, reveal it, put it in your hand. Pretty good. I'm comparing this to Noctowl. Now, this Japanese player has a note article about it, but they made a connection to, of course, the VMAX decks of old and the Mega Lopunny deck, and they actually made their own deck as well, playing around with this idea. So Miyabi here, definitely send support. You can go, I'll have this linked, of course, and read up on it and also view the deck list. But this has some similar Pokemon in it. It's got this Shady Dealings Drizzile, who is being compared to Noctowl, of course. Now Noctowl, is, of course, going to be needed with a Terra Pokemon in play, and that's why we're going to be using the Ogerpons. The Ogerpon, Water Pond, as you know, has the attack that does 120 to one of your bench Pokemon of your opponents as well, and that's similar as well to another Pokemon player from the old VMAX decks. Urshifu has its second attack, being G-Max Rapid Flow. Discard all energy from this Pokemon. It does 120 damage to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. Now that's similar to Water Pond. Not exactly the same, but it is similar. You can see the similarities happening here. So their deck list, ta-da, took advantage of it. Definitely go ahead and read their note article. You can translate to English and stuff, and it goes over more of a breakdown of the cards involved, but here's kind of the little list as well to show. It even has some sneaky picks, like N in there at some point. We also have, of course, Kieran to help switch things around, but you can see it's using the Owl package and the Ogerpons here. It's also using the new Moltres, who is coming out with Lopunny, and that Moltres can actually be really good against Goldango, definitely, because of that fire weakness. That Moltres can also clean up things that Lopunny can't. So that is a good thing to have in the deck, I would say. I've been seeing a lot of Moltres, not just in Lopunny, but in many decks. This Moltres looks like it's going to be a pretty popular inclusion, at least until, you know, some other meta contenders, big guys like Goldango and stuff, go away, you know? But yeah, it's a really cool list. It's a really cool correlation here. Lastly, I want to share a deck list from SLAMS Go. So this is from a popular Japanese content creator and player. You've probably seen him before in tournaments and everything. He's definitely been on the main stage. He's got a pretty good, big Japanese YouTube channel, does a lot of decks and stuff. I definitely recommend checking it out. And I built something along the lines of similar to his as well, so I want to go ahead and talk about it a little bit. But there is the deck list. Definitely check out the channel. He's got a video of it and playing it, and so it's really good if you want to see more gameplay of Lopunny in action. But this one is also pretty straightforward. Like I said, it has the Jet Energy, it's using the Linoon and stuff, and the Linoon is actually also coming with Lopunny. I think this Linoon is, of course, supposed to be synergizing with Lopunny. You're supposed to use it with it, but, like, actually, this Linoon, I kind of hate it, because it has a retreat cost of 1. If it had free retreat, this would actually be fine and good, I think. But honestly, because of that, it makes it really hard to use. Really hard to justify using it. I definitely played around with it to see, but it just feels bad to have in play, and it feels bad to like have to deal with that 1 retreat cost if you ever try and get it in the active and stuff. So that is something to consider, but it is in the set and stuff, something to be aware of. But man, Linoon, I just wish it had free retreat. If it did, that'd be great, but it does not. So here is that. It also was running the Pidgeot package in this one. I thought it was pretty fun, pretty nice, and I think it's going to be fun to also try out the Ogerpon box one. Let's go to the gameplay now. So here is going to be Mega Lopunny versus Hydrapple EX, and this Mega Lopunny list is inspired by SLAMS Go with that Zigzagoon in there, but it doesn't get too much Linoon action. But here, going first, putting down Baniri, putting down Pidgey. I should note that this Baniri, as we use this Buddy Poffin to find another Baniri, and our Badoo, because that's nice to have. These Banneries are the cool Pokeball ones, but they are at 60 HP. There are 70 HP Banneries to consider, to maybe use, but I think I have one in there, but the others are 60, so that's just something to be aware of. But yeah, checking hand, grabbing another Bannery off this Buddy Poffin, and the Badoo, like I said, is pretty nice. The Badoo is nice. The Zigzagoon with the retreat cost is kind of a pain to have in the active, but we can go ahead and attach an energy for the turn. We're going to end up doing that with the Mist Energy here, and then passing it off. Now, on the Applin side, this Applin deck is gonna be with the Chikorita package, but we're not seeing the big Chikorita package, like big explosion happening in this game, unfortunately. We start off with Applin in the active spot. We have one Nest Ball to go off of, deciding to go ahead and Nest Ball for a Teal Mask Ogerpon, just because we also have Grass Energy in the hand. We can probably start Teal Dancing that, and then hopefully be able to reach further with an item card, a supporter card, or something to help set up our board early on. So here's that Teal Dance going on, drawing a card, getting the bug catching set, which is actually going to help us. We can do a top 7 card search for energy or grass Pokemon. We can go ahead and grab some energy off of that. That's going to allow us to at least retreat the Applin out of the way to maybe put up the Ogerpon, just because the Applin only has 40 HP here. It's very small, very squishy. I think I had like an Ultra Ball in hand, but I opted not to use that right away, just so we have other resources to keep in the hand. But yeah, deciding to go ahead and attach for turn to the Applin to retreat the Applin, and then put up the Ogerpon is what the play is going to be, and then passing off the turn. Maybe not too explosive at all, but here we can go ahead and see what's on the other side with the Lopunny deck going on. So we can go ahead and evolve into Lopunny. That turn 2 evolution is nice. We can also evolve into Pidgeotto. We do have that. And then we just have Wally and a Nest Ball, which isn't actually that great, but we can retreat the Zigzagoon with having Badoo in the active, and then go ahead and fire off Itchy Pollen. It's going to do 10 damage, and then that is going to item lock the opponent. Now, item lock on Hydrapple this early on when there's not much setup is kind of a pain, a bit more. So we're relying on the Teal Dance ability to our top deck, you know? So here we go with that. We draw a card. It's another Grass Energy. We can attach it for turn. We can get the KO on the Badoo, but not much else has been established, which is kind of unfortunate. But we can do that and then go ahead and take a prize card for that. Now, on the other side, like I said, can't really push up Lopunny because we do want to keep it on the bench for the turn so it can move into the active, but it's really not going to happen this turn because our hand is kind of low and not much going on. We can go ahead and use Nest Ball just to look around for some stuff as well. Maybe get another guy out there. You did see a little Fan Rotom there in the deck that I did not use turn 1, but it is in there, and that is a way to help find your colorless Pokemon if you don't have your Buddy Poffin or something as well. But just opting to get another Pidgey down is the play, and Zigzagoon is in the active again, unfortunately. But hey, we didn't have much else, so we're gonna go ahead and do that and pass, and hopefully the Applin deck can catch up because there's no item lock right now. Now, there is a secret box. There is a way to get some stuff going. And with this hand, there is Hydrapple in the hand as well. And we just had that stadium go down where we can actually reach for the Hydrapple this turn. And we're going to do that. We're going to go retreat the Ogerpon into Applin because we are going to get to that Diplin to then the Hydrapple. So we're going to go ahead and Super Rod first back in. I think this was just, something to do. Maybe I didn't have to, but wanted to get some energy in there again as well. And then go ahead with our secret box. We're going to get our hand size down. I want to get the hand size down so we can hopefully use a supporter off the secret box to refill the hand, and we're going to do that. So we're going to go ahead and discard 3 cards to use secret box. Unfortunately, that Meganium is also going down, but we're going to be able to grab a stadium, a supporter, an item, and a tool. I don't have a tool in this deck particularly to use right now, but we go ahead and grab another stadium that we can use for Ultra Ball fodder or something, and then we can get Lily's Determination to refill the hand with, and then we can go ahead and use Bug Catching Set to hopefully reach for that energy as well. That's why we also Super Rodded. I wanted to get some energy hits with that so that we can have our attack off this turn, hopefully with Hydrapple. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to look for Diplin or our energy, and we do end up finding energy. We can also find that Hydrapple. We're going to end up using that as Ultra Ball fodder, but that is still something to have in the hand to get that going. Cool. So with that, we can go ahead and Ultra Ball away the Hydrapple, the Stadium, to go find Dipplin. And with that Forest in play, that Dipplin is going to be able to evolve, and then we can evolve into Hydrapple. So it's very nice. I definitely love the Hydrapple deck a bit more now, and we can attach that energy for turn, and then use Lily to go ahead and refill that hand. That is something to do, for sure. And we find another Applin we can put down, and then we can go ahead with another attachment via Hydrapple's ability. Its ability allows you to attach an extra energy and heal 30 when you attach to one of your Pokemon. And since Hydrapple is one of your Pokemon, it should be all good. Now with that, we can actually go ahead and KO the Zigzagoon. We're doing some damage with that, with the attack and everything. And then on the other side, we are facing down this big Hydrapple at 330 HP. Now, like I said, if we had Chikorritas, it'd be nicer. But here, we promote the Pidgeotto. We go ahead and see that the hand is kind of bad. We're going to be able to actually Ultra Ball those away, though, and we can find our Pidgeot, who has Quick Search. And we're going to be able to use Quick Search to then find a good supporter, Lily or something. Since we still have 6 prize cards, it's going to be really effective. We're going to be drawing 8 cards, just ripping it, you know? And our 0 card hand, throwing into 8 cards, is going to make us closer to finding Jet Energy so our Lopunny can fire off a big attack, and so on. So that is really nice. So far, the sequencing has been kind of nice for both sides. I think, yeah, evolving into there, we have Hero's Cape as the A-spec for this deck. We do have the Jet Energy. We jet up Lopunny, so Lopunny can be doing 230 damage this turn. Like I said, it's not a one-hit KO, but it is a good chunk of damage on that Hydrapple. That Hydrapple is going to be taking that 230 damage out of 330. So he is pretty damaged. And now on the other side, we're going to be relying on finding a lot of energy to get the KO on Lopunny. Now, if we had the Chikorritas, the Meganiums in play, I think reaching for that Lopunny KO would be so much easier. But because we don't have that, we are relying on just the regular Hydrapple power. We have another Hydrapple up that we evolved into thanks to the Stadium and stuff that we were able to do. We do have another Lily's Determination. What a card. Such a good card. Both decks using it. You're going to see a lot of decks using it. We can go ahead and get 6 cards from that. And we find that there is some energy to work with. Just 1 for our Hydrapple ability. We can actually use something like that. We do rely on, with Hydrapple, we rely on getting that energy attachment to our Pokemon, having as much grass energy attached as possible, which is why we Night Stretchered for that 1 to then use with Teal Dance to hopefully reach further. We get another energy, but that's still more, because we can go ahead and, instead of, you know, using Buddy Puff and kind of opting to use this Hydrapple on the bench's ability, the Syrup Storm, attaching an energy to the active Hydrapple to then heal 30 damage from it as well. So some healing going on. And then we can go ahead and just attach for turn onto that Hydrapple. So we have a lot of energy going on here. We have enough to be hitting for, I think, 240 damage. That is not going to hit the KO on Lopunny, but it's going to take a significant chunk out of Lopunny, for sure. Man, because we are doing 30 for each energy attached to all our Pokemon, and then an extra 30 on the attack base, it looks like. So that is going to be a considerable amount. Now, on the other side, though, we actually have the Hero's Cape, and I think at this point, at some point, yeah, we attach a Mist Energy so that this Lopunny can actually be utilizing its second attack. Now that it's in the active, it can't jet back up again. We do have another Lopunny who can jet, but that's for later. Do attach this Hero's Cape, so now Lopunny's HP goes from 90 to 190, looks like, and that is going to be kind of relevant, pretty significant. And we can go ahead and quick search. Quick searching for some Pokemon. Oh, I was thinking about quick searching for like a Wally, the one that heals from your Mega Pokemon and stuff. That would have been great, but we actually had discarded Wally earlier, and then one of the other Wallies was prized. But anyway, Lily is going to refill the hand with 8 cards. That's going to be good. We evolve Pidgeotto, and then go ahead and bump the Stadium. That's something relevant, and we can go ahead and then we do have some Jet Energy if we would like to go ahead and jet up the other Lopunny and get that 1 out of the way, but instead just opting to KO the Hydrapple and take away that firepower of the attacker on that side using its second attack, the 160. So since Hydrapple was so damaged, it was simple to do. Clean up this discard pile a little bit, and then we can go ahead with the other one, hoping to find some energy for it. We do need 2 energy to attack with, and we don't actually have a way to get energy. Well, we do have an Ultra Ball, so we can actually go and Fez. We can search out the Fez, is basically what we're trying to do. And with the Fez, hopefully, try and get some grass energy to attack with. this Pheasantipity, and keep in mind, the Hydrapple is also stuck because it has a retreat cost of 3, and we don't have our air balloons or anything right now. This is going on. Air balloon or whoever. Oh man, here's the stadium bump happening, and we can go ahead and yeah, it's kind of dead. We just have to pass. Can't really do anything else. Can't retreat. Can't attack. So that is unfortunate, but that is the stuff Lopunny needs in order to stick around, in order to, like, now we can, like, jet and stuff, but we can also find another Pidgeot and more energy with Hilda. That's also in the hand. But first, we're just going to jet energy up this Lopunny. This Lopunny is going to be able to be doing 230 damage because it moved from the bench to the active with that jet energy. Very nice. Now the other Lopunny is out of range, kind of, for now. Hopefully not to get bossed up and attacked, but here. We can go ahead and do that. I also have Richaband in the deck. This didn't, I kind of attached it, put it by there. Didn't really come up too much, but we're going to go ahead and use Hilda for turn for the supporter to go ahead and grab a special energy, that jet energy, and Pidgeot. Having 2 quick searches available is really nice. Now, the Hilda is kind of an odd pick, but I think she's nice for searching out that special energy, let's say. So, we have that going on. We can go ahead and really just be comfortable hitting for 230, I think. We're going to go ahead and do that to the Hydrapple. That Hydrapple is going to be pretty damaged, and we still have, you know, an Ogerpon we can potentially chase, and Pheasantipity even is also kind of a small squish Pokemon. But on the other side, it's going to be relying on finding Grass Energy, and unfortunately not really able to get it. Now, again, even if we were able to attack, we did top deck the boss, but you know, bossing up Pidgeot won't really do anything since it has free retreat. And then bossing up the Lopunny, we couldn't really attack. But even if we could attack and find energy, we would only be hitting for, I think, 180 or so. We would not be hitting the 190 that it's at. So it is kind of a sticky situation with that Hero's Cape that was attached. So instead, just kind of, yeah, all we can really do, it looks like, is that. And like I said, we couldn't even really retreat into Ogerpon. It's kind of just a mess. So unfortunate Hydrapple moment happening here, and since we did not have a knockout, could not Fez, and yeah, I was just kind of, at this point in my head, just thinking about the damage and everything, making sure, seeing how much was on Lopunny, but ultimately it's going to be a pass, and ultimately Lopunny has a big chance here to clean things up as well. But again, you're seeing now that how much the Lopunny deck relies on that movement and on the jet energy, or on, if you're building it with different supporters, how much you're going to need to be relying on switching and moving around and stuff. But, you know, you don't have to use a pure Lopunny deck like this. You can always just fit it in as a little surprise attacker. But hey, we're going to go ahead and still be jetting stuff up. We're going to jet up the damaged one, feeling confident that we can take a KO on a Pokemon now with that 230 damage being live, with the ability to hopefully take out, you know, you could take out the Hydrapple, but also could go ahead and search out a boss. I think this was a point I was looking also for the Wally to heal the damage, but like I said, it was prized. Instead, we are going to go for the boss, and we can actually boss up the Teal Mask Ogerpon, who is actually relevant because, again, Hydrapple gets powered up by the amount of grass energy is on your Pokemon. So if you take out a Pokemon with a good amount of grass energy on it, that's also something. So yeah, I was looking at the discard showing off the Wally, but yeah, so deciding to boss up the Ogerpon, just seeing that, like, the hand is low and everything as well, that Hydrapple has to rely on some stuff. But yeah, I think you could have also just KO'd it. Either way, though, we can actually protect against maybe the Ogerpon being an attacker again for another attack. So get 2 more prizes on the other side, and then on the Hydrapple side, it's kind of being cleaned up and just deciding who to promote. It's this guy. We can't really get there now. Even though the Lopunny on the other side is very damaged, we do have Fez, but like, it's not too much. We can go ahead and attach. And we can also use our bug catching set to hopefully get another grass energy to attach with the ability, but like, there's not much happening. Here's another grass energy, and we can also get Tiplin. It's kind of rough. Here we go. Shuffle that up, and hopefully this game was more to illustrate, again, just showing Lopunny in action a little bit. We can evolve Applin into Diplin, and then we can go ahead and utilize an Iono as well. I think Iono against Lopunny is pretty good late game because, as you can see, Lopunny does need a lot of little pieces to get going and to get things just running smoothly, which is why the quick search option, quick search Pidgeot, is nice, because you can just kind of protect against that by searching out what you need late game, but definitely keep yourself aware that the Iono can be kind of rough. Now, I don't think it's too bad here, and I think that attack, we should be attacking for 90 damage on that Lopunny. We're doing 30 and then another 60 from the energy attached, but it doesn't matter too much, looks like. We're gonna be able to just go for the KO for its second attack, the 160, doing that and then ending the game. So yeah, Mega Lopunny! Hopefully you enjoyed that. So yeah, Mega Lopunny, I'm super excited for the card. I went to one pre-release, did not get it. Hopefully the next one, maybe. But I'm very excited for it. What about you though? I think other players are. Like I said, I think there is some hype around the card a little bit. Just because it can be pretty versatile. It can be slotted into things. The fact that it is colorless and can use any energy type is really good for flexibility and stuff. And maybe it will be something like an Ursaluna or something to bring out. And I think building a deck around it has been fun, and trying to play around with it is fun. I do like the mechanic of jet energy, just jetting things up and stuff. Give it a try as well, if you are interested. I hope this video was helpful and fun and all that. I would love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to know if I missed anything or you want to add anything, of course. But all in all, hopefully you enjoyed. And thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye!